Good morning. Sorry I can't be there with you this morning. Instead, I will be in Wisconsin at a work event. Instead, you're going to get me on video up close and personal. A few weeks ago, Chris asked me to speak. He gave me my topic, asked me to talk about my unique family dynamic and how we overcome challenges, and to do that all in 7 minutes. I said, that's easy. I can do that in 4 words. Marry an amazing woman. Well, that's true, and my wife, Leah, is amazing. That's not going to take up my 7 minutes. Instead, I want to talk to you about giving your all and never giving up, and how that fits into the context of what does my family look like in 10 years. What does your family look like in 10 years? I'm sure you have a concept. I'm sure you have a vision of what you think it might look like. But I'm here to tell you that you don't know. Life's hard. Life is going to throw a curveball at you. Life is going to deal you a bad hand at some point. No matter what happens, you have to commit to giving your all to your faith and to your family. As a leader of your home, that's your responsibility. You better take that responsibility very seriously, as you will someday be held accountable for how you lived your life and also for how you led your family. No matter what happens, you also have to commit to never giving up. Let's go back to the curveballs that life will throw at you. Life can change in a second and affect many. I had a friend in college, Wayne Russell. His wife, Jody, was loading the kids into a minivan, came out of gear, rolled over her, killed her. It was a tragic accident. In a second, Wayne lost his wife and was left with 4 kids. I had a friend, a coworker in Shreveport, who was taking Christmas decorations out of the attic, and he fell off the ladder. Severe brain damage. Never was able to return to normal. It affected the entire family, a wife and 2 kids. The point is, life can change in a second, whether it's a car accident, critical illness, you lose your job, global pandemic. Things can change and things will change. For us, it was my son, Ian. Most of you know Ian. He's now 19. He's severely disabled. But let me tell you a little bit about our story. No matter how many times I tell this, it's tough. I may get emotional. If I do, please forgive me. We couldn't have kids. We were looking to adopt. We got a phone call from Leah's best friend from high school. She was a doctor. Said she had a young lady, 16 years old, who was getting ready to have a baby and wanted to give the baby up for adoption. Well, that was easy. We were all in. That's what we wanted. So we progressed through the pregnancy. Find out the birth mother was using drugs. That was tough. We knew there were going to be problems. We were given the option of backing out of the adoption, but by that point we were committed. We were thinking of this child as our own. We were going forward with it. Birth went great. Actually, we took Ian home from the hospital on the day he was born, staying with the doctor, so that's not as risky as it sounds. We went along, started noticing some abnormalities, especially was not tracking with his eyes, just some other things that were going on. I had to wait a little while for some maturity to take place. Went to the doctor, had the test, put Ian through a whole series of tests. I vividly remember the doctor telling us to come into his office, sit down. He was going to give a diagnosis that was going to change our lives. Man, I had no idea how right he was at the time. Ian was diagnosed with septo-optic dysplasia. After all the terminology and explanations, it boiled it down. He will never see, and he's got severe brain issues that we really don't know the extent of. Wow, that was a lot to take in as a young man. For a while, it was just a whirlwind of trying to educate ourselves, get an understanding of the diagnosis, what that would mean for Ian. But man, there was a lot of anger. There was a lot of panic. There was a lot of pity. I remember being absorbed or self-absorbed, and I remember so many times thinking of myself and thinking, man, I am never going to be able to play baseball with him. I'm never going to get to throw the football. Probably won't get to fish. I mean, that's not fair. I had a lot of those selfish thoughts, and I was never, didn't quite understand it was more about Leah and more about Ian than it was about me. But somewhere after prayer, introspection, I finally got it together. There was finally a moment of realization that it was no longer about me. It was about our faith, and it was about our family. I used to work with a man named Ralph Nelson. He was our legal counsel. He was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. He was just a great guy. But mostly to us, Ralph was this oracle of hard-scrabble truth. He used to tell us young fathers, you just need to put our personal lives on hold for 20 years and concentrate on being a father. He'd tell us that over and over again. You don't really know what that means at the time, but later you realize he didn't mean we had to sacrifice our individuality, but instead we needed to understand that our lives were no longer about just us. It was about taking care of your family. It was now about them, not about you. My opinion is a good husband and father fully understands this concept. He will give his all to God and to his family. As I mentioned earlier, life can be hard. You better learn that early and figure out how to deal with the adversity because it's coming. Life is going to smack you around. You can do two things. One, you can take the easy route and you can give up. Take the easy route is self-centered, only caring about yourself. It's running from the problems or seeking out the path of least resistance. You do that and you'll find yourself far from your faith, and you're going to find yourself very far from your family. The other route is to ground yourself in the Lord. He will guide you and he will direct you. Getting back to my family, our journey with Ian, it would have been very easy to give up. With the initial diagnosis, I kept thinking that his blindness was the worst thing. A little did I know, but that was really one of his lesser issues. Neurological issues, really no communication, and just horrible stomach issues. I can count on two hands the number of times that he slept through the night before he was 10 years old, until he was 10 years old. You know, that's something that's going to try your endurance. It's going to try your patience, and frankly, it tries your sanity. Early on, we decided that we were going to try to live life as normal as possible with him. We're not going to let his condition hold us back. And many times we almost gave up. We would go out to eat, and something like a noise would just set him off. Total meltdown. Going to church, Ian didn't like church, and the cavernous sound, he couldn't place that, and many times we'd have a meltdown, and either Leah and I would take him out early. Many times we had situations that pushed our patience to its end. Many times we were ready to give up. I think that without our faith and knowing that God had a purpose for us, it would have been really easy to give up. It would have been very easy for me or Leah to just walk away. I really don't know why God presents us with such great challenges, but I'm sure he had a purpose in putting Ian in our lives. While we've been able to provide and love Ian, I know the difficulty of raising him has made me a much better man, and for sure has made me a much better husband. While our journey's been tough, we're not alone. Many of you have been or are going to be dealt a hard blow. How you deal with that is everything. I'm going to end with two verses that are so simple and they're so direct. Exodus 18:23 says, God will direct you. You will be able to endure. Matthew 24:13 says, but the one who endures to the end will be saved. Give your all to the Lord and to your family, and no matter what you face, never give up.